Alright, so in this tutorial I'm going to show you how to set up Seismic Unix for this Mac. The video itself is just over 20 minutes long, mostly because I kept recording it so that you could really see how an install works on my machine. So you will see throughout the video I actually run into a couple of errors. I installed XCode command line tools already, but what you'll find out is I actually don't have the X11 library installed, so you'll see that the install goes and then fails, and you'll see me in this video troubleshoot it. So again, the video is about 20 minutes long. I show you how to download the package and how to compile it from scratch, and then make sure your path is correct and show you that it ends up working. Now, the reason that my lab group uses Seismic Unix is we collect the data with geometric software. It's more common to collect the data in seg2 format, but really to use my picker software in Python, we have to convert everything to seg-y. And as of right now, the best solution for this that I have found over the years is to just use some additional third-party software that comes with Seismic Unix called seg2 to seg-y, which then allows you to read the seg-ys into Seismic Unix and manipulate them and so on and so forth. So you'll see throughout this video, this is a fresh install of Seismic Unix from source. I've installed the X11 command line tools, which I have another video to show you how to do that, I believe, in terms of setting things up. But you'll see that I changed paths too. So right now I've downloaded it, I think I have it in documents, and I end up wanting to move it back to another path and update. So enjoy the video. You can see that as I do major things, you can watch the messages that I type in the text editor. You should be able to pause the video to see paths and things like that. But again, this is really a recording of me doing a fresh install of Seismic Unix, compiling it from scratch. I hope you find this helpful. So here you'll see me adding the path names to the computer so that when you type in CWP root, you know where you're looking. You'll see in just a second I'm going to change my mind and end up moving this. So the entire Seismic Unix directory right now is in username, which for this computer is CCZG/documents, Seismic Unix, and then we're in that home path. So you'll see me set up this variable name, and then right at the end there I kind of decide to just put it at the CCZG level. So you'll see that in a second. So you'll see all of the folders are where they are, and then in a second you'll see me move the folders in the Finder window, and then in order for Seismic Unix to work correctly, you have to recorrect this path up here, CWP root, and you'll see that all in the video. Here it is right here. I wanted to change. I changed the path last minute. So here you can see the message on the screen. I'm going to move the folder out of documents back to the root folder. And in order to do this, you'll see me here. Here's the move in Finder. I'm going to take this SU409 folder and I'm going to go ahead and move it. Here's a Command C, and I'm going to go back to the main root page. Documents, Command up, and then I'm going to put it here, right? So you see desktop, so on and so forth. So you would be /users/CCCG. And you saw me move the folder, and now what you have to do is you have to go back into the .zcshrc file with Vim and update your path names. There I just dragged the layer in to get the path. I obviously deleted the wrong thing, so here you can actually see the path where the folders are: users, shared. I'm not in shared, I'm actually users, CCZG, Seismic Unix, and then I'm in this SU44R19 folder. So that's my path. You'll see I just copied it with my directory. Now I'm going to vi.zshrc, and I'm going to change CWP root there to that path. So I'm essentially going to delete documents out of there. And same thing with this bottom line. Now again, you'll see I end up having a typo in this path name. We'll see it in just a second toward the end of the video. But again, those paths are vitally important for Seismic Unix to work. So again, here now I'm following the instructions in the installation instructions, and I'm on a Catalina machine, so I'm going to make that makefile.config _ Catalina. I'm going to move it back one directory and rename it just like they say to rename it. Now I haven't upgraded to Big Sur, but they do have a Big Sur in there, so apparently this Seismic Unix will work with Big Sur. I haven't tried it yet, but again, Seismic Unix has been around for a while. They've got this installed down pretty well, assuming that you have a GCC compiler and a C compiler, which all comes with the XCode command line tools. So again, you can see me just copying that makefile. Essentially, I'm copying it back one directory, and I'm renaming it to makefile.config. And at this stage, I'm going to just follow this instructions, and I'm going to make install. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. And again, you don't want to run this as sudo. You don't want to run it with commands. You can go ahead and read through their license agreement, accept their license agreement. I was going way too fast. So I'm going to try again. We'll read through their license agreement. You'll select yes, and then your computer will start to compile Seismic Unix. And I don't remember if I have the video record this whole time. I think I do, just so that you have it so you can see and pause the screen at any time in case you wanted to compare your install to my install. I find all of this information is always sometimes missing when you're trying to install and do things like this. So it's beginning the installation process. At this stage, you can see it start to compile libraries. It's using that GCC compiler from the X-line command codes, and it's going to just go ahead and run. And I think I have the video just run so you can see all of it. And again, if you are on YouTube or whatever, you can pause it and see however you want it to run. Coming up, it's been compiling for a minute or two, a couple minutes. Everything is going smooth. and you'll see that we actually have everything completed. So the next thing on the list is to do the XT install, which is actually going to allow you to visualize the script. So if you ever use Ximage or anything like that in Seismic tools, and this is where you're going to see an error. So you have to do make XT install, and again you have to have X11 installed, and we don't have that installed on this machine yet. And again you see this fatal error, X11 xlib.h file not found. I tried it again just to double check, and so at this point the installation is not going very smoothly. So because it's a full video, I'm going to show you how I debug this and troubleshoot this. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the fancy Google machine, and I think I'm going to install the X11. So it's not in the install instructions. I probably missed it reading on some of the dependencies, but again, whenever you see a .h not found, usually you can do Google xlib.h and it'll tell you what package you've got it from. I know from experience this is X11 from Mac, which is also called Xquartz. So you can go ahead, for Mac, go ahead and download the .dmg. I don't remember how big the file is. You go ahead and download it, wait for it, and go ahead and install this, and then we'll come back to the install. Finished installing X11, so we're going to go ahead, and I obviously stopped the video, so we're going to go ahead and close this, and then we're going to go back and start the install again. So you can go ahead, and we're right, remember in the instructions we're in XT install, so we're now going to try it again. So again, you've already seen me try this command twice. We've installed X11, and now it's going to go ahead and compile. Everything is looking much better, and it looks like everything is installed correctly. Now at this stage we want to make sure it works. I just typed segi read, it didn't work. And I'm now going to the directory where I know this stuff lives, which is cwp root and bin, and you can now, when you do an ls, you can see all of the commands in there, and if you do segi read with the \, it should run in this directory. So what this tells us is that we have a path error, and I go ahead and fix that in just a second. I think I had an extra slash or something in the .zshrc file in path. So you can go ahead and watch the video and see how I debug this. Because it wasn't working, I kind of scrolled back up through the text to see if there was any fatal errors. There was no fatal errors, warnings are okay. Again, SU range, file not found. But you'll see in just a second, I'm going to open a new file in case I didn't refresh that .zshrc. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to czzg, and I'm going to go into Seismic Unix, into the source. Alright, so I just refreshed that .zshrc file to make sure my paths are all correct. SU range is still not working, so I'm again going up, scrolling, making sure that everything installed properly, looking for any errors. I see a lot of warnings, but no major errors. Everything looks like it completed correctly. So we're going to scroll back down here. This is me troubleshooting, right? It should have all worked. So I'm going to go to the CWP root, and then I'm going to go into the bin, and you can see all of the commands there. And you can see SU range is not, but if I do /SU range to tell the computer to look in that current directory, it works. And so what this means is that Seismic Unix is installed correctly, but we don't have the paths correct in our computer. So that's good news in the sense that it's a pretty easy fix. So you can go ahead and finish watching the video. I'm going to go back into the .zshrc file, re-edit our paths, and then everything should be working as it should be. I don't know if you just caught that. I actually put an extra N on the pack of bin there. I copied and pasted that, and that's my error now. So again, I'm trying SU range is not found, going on, and if you go ahead and echo the path name, it's very clear right there I have an extra N. So we're going to go ahead and refix this in Vim, and then I believe everything works at this stage. And now we've got Seismic Unix working correctly. I don't necessarily have any seismic data to test right now, but one of the reasons that I'm installing Seismic Unix for my picker is to get seg2 to seg-y. Excuse the autocorrect there in text edit, not sexy, seg2 to seg-y. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to cd CWP root, and we're going to go into the third party. So cd source, and then there's a third party folder. You'll see it somewhere in blue. I think it's a capital, yep, underscore third party, and we're going to go into, there's a seg2 to seg-y, and then I think if we look into some of the install instructions, all we end up having to do in the readme, if we look at the readme, cat readme, we just have to go ahead and do make install. You go ahead and watch the video and see, and then what we'll have to do is it will create an executable called seg2 to seg-y, and then what we have to do is we have to move that file into the bin so that it's in the path of the computer. And that is how we get Seismic Unix set up on one of the new machines for me.